Welcome everybody to update number 52. Yeah, got a whole host of films here, some of which are on sale, a few are new releases, and a great find for people like me who like my sci-fi horror films from the 50s. So speaking of which, we'll start off with this. So yeah, I don't often buy DVDs, if ever, but when they're the last resort and the only way to actually own a film, then I will go for that. So yeah, I got the Killer Bee movie collection. So I had a bunch of vouchers from a shop called CEX. I like to call it that because also they say call it sex, but yeah. But basically, you trade in anything that you own that you don't want anymore, Blu-rays, DVDs, electronics, or anything like that, and you get a voucher. Or you can get a voucher. You can get money, but usually the vouchers are worth more. And this would have been going for £30, even more from another seller. But I got it for 65p, which is great. And yeah, but I do already own a couple of these. I already own the Blob from the Criterion collection, and I already have the Creature Walks Among Us, which is part of the Creature of the Black Lagoon trilogy, which already has its own Blu-ray releases. But yeah, I didn't have the other seven, and yeah, 7 films for 65p is hardly a bad shout, especially considering they're all on their own DVDs. So the only one I hadn't seen before buying it was The Time Travelers there, which is decent. I finally got around to watching it. It's not brilliant or anything like that, but it's entertaining enough and doesn't outstay its welcome. Then we have The Beast with 1 Million Eyes, which, yeah, isn't perfect by any means, but it's still pretty good. And then we have The Deadly Mantis, which is probably my favourite of this release. I really am a fan of big creature features and, monster movies and, typical kind of insects or creatures that aren't typically big, oversized, and yeah, that's a really good effort in that regard. Then The Blob, but like I said, I've already seen that and already own that on Blu-ray. Then The Angry Red Planet, which is there. Can't really show you the Angry Red Planet there, yeah, but that's a decent sci-fi film as far as visiting Mars films goes. Then we've got Dr. Cyclops, which is the first horror film filmed in full colour. The Mystery of the Wax Museum was the first technically colour film, but that was only like 2 grey colour or whatever it's called, where it's only really like greens and blues and stuff like that. And then we have The Man from Planet X, which is basically a low rent version of The Day the Earth Stood Still. And Reptilicus, which is one of the worst films ever made, but I still kind of enjoy it. It's I think a Danish creature feature, which has some awful special effects, but also some good practical effects as well. But yeah, it's by no means a great film. So but as bad as some of these films are, I still enjoy them regardless. And but the ones I would recommend are The Beast with 1 Million Eyes, The Deadly Mantis, The Time Travelers, and The Angry Red Planet. Oh, and Dr. Cyclops, actually. So yeah, it's only really Reptilicus and The Man from Planet X that I wouldn't recommend out of the ones I've seen, but only really because they are inferior to superior versions from the same kind of time period. Then I got a couple of 4K releases. I can't believe it, but I didn't actually show off when this came out, this release, for whatever reason. But yeah, Brotherhood of the Wolf. This came out in May, I think. Brand new restoration, really odd mix of genres from France. You got martial arts, you got, horror, you got drama, you got romance. There's all sorts being mixed in there, but it's overall a really rather good effort. Comes with a director's cut on 4K, as well as Blu-ray director's cut, 2 discs for that, and then a third Blu-ray. Not sure what's on that one actually. It does say so yeah, Blu-ray 2 interviews, or all the special features by the looks of it. And the Blu-ray 1 has the director's cut, which is a 2022 restoration, and Blu-ray 3 has the theatrical cut. So I only watch the director's cut because typically they are better, and overall it was enjoyable. Not perfect by any means, and I was expecting it to be a little bit better given what everyone said about it, but yeah, it's still a perfectly good film. And then an actual new release is Clear and Present Danger, the second and final film of Harrison Ford to start as Jack Ryan, who previously has been depicted by Alec Baldwin, and then after that it was Ben Affleck and I think Chris Pine, maybe. But regardless, Harrison Ford is the better of the actors that have portrayed it, although I would say The Hunt for Red October, which had Alec Baldwin in it, is technically probably the better film of the bunch. But yeah, this is a superb action thriller film, and yeah, easily one of the best from Harrison Ford's 90s period. And yeah, look forward to seeing this and Patriot Games again on 4K, as that also had a 4K release not long ago. So yeah, looking forward to revisiting those. And then something I got from Umbrella when I ordered, I think I saw The Devil, so I thought I may as well get something else on top of that was going for cheap, and it is Amazing True Tales Volume 1. So this has I Am the Stars, starring Kurt Jurgens, who I know him mostly from The Spy Who Loved Me as a villain, and Man on a Swing, starring Ernest Borgnine, who, again, know him from other films like Poseidon Adventure and the like. So, yeah, I've seen Man on a String, which is pretty damn good, to be honest. Still need to see I Am the Stars, but I'm hoping that'll be pretty good. And yeah, it was going for cheap. I think it was only like 10 Australian dollars, which yeah, isn't even a few pounds over here. And then from Arrow Video, we have Nightmare at Noon, which has a stunning first hour and an incompetent half an hour final. So yeah, mixed bag, but still a really rather good effort. And yeah, I like the cast of George Kennedy and who is it? Can never remember his name. Oh well. But I've seen him in stuff before. And you'll recognise him yourself if you ever get around to watching it. It actually came with a booklet, which I was surprised about, because this came out last year. So I'm surprised it still comes with a booklet. Maybe it wasn't a big seller or anything like that. So yeah, but regardless, it comes with the booklet, which yeah, cast and crew and No Real Nightmare at Moab by Johnny Maines, and then about the restoration itself, which yeah, restored in 2K resolution from its original 35mm into positive. So yeah, at least they put some good work into it to make it look as good as possible, even though it's not a particularly well-known film, nor a kind of an A picture from a big studio or anything like that. And then from Eureka, I got PTU, which was a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. Again, I heard a lot of good things about this, but I wasn't overwhelmed by it. Still really rather good, set entirely at night, during one night in fact. And yeah, got good performances and some solid violence in the end, but I did feel it was a little bit underwhelming overall. But still, really good release. Looks really nice on this Blu-ray. The cinematography really does pop on this release. And yeah, in this booklet we've got PTU, Absurdity and the Anti-Action Movie. So yeah, I guess that might be why I was a little bit underwhelmed on it, because based on the premise, it sounded like a really action-heavy thriller kind of film, but it's kind of the opposite to that, to be honest. So yeah, I wish I knew that one going in, because then I might have, had different expectations and the like. But regardless, still a solid film, just not perhaps one for me. And then finally from Indicator, because Zavvi had a 33% sale on Indicator releases, so I decided to get a few from them that I've been eyeing up. And the first one is The Strange One. So I've not seen this before, but heard really good things from it, and yeah, sounds like a really rather searing drama. And yeah, looks like it's had a nice release going for it as well. Again, surprised that this has a booklet going with it, because this was released in 2020, so 3 years ago now, and yet they still got the booklet for it. So again, doesn't say that it particularly sold well, but that does not mean that it's going to be bad whatsoever. So yeah, it's got the likes of Pat Hingle in it and Clifton James, who I've seen stuff from before. And then you got in the booklet The Strange One, From Page to Stage to Screen by Brad Stevens. And then, like shots from the film. Then you got Ben Gazzara, The Strange One. So that is the on-screen debut of 26-year-old Ben Gazzara, who was already well known to theatregoers at the time. And then you got Jack Galfrin on The Strange One. And then you got Critical Response from the time. And then About the Restoration, which is a HD remaster from Sony themselves. So yeah, sounds pretty good, hopefully. And then one I recently watched, Charles Bronson in The Valdez Horses, also known as Chico. And yeah, co-stars Jill Ireland, who was his wife at the time, and she started 16 films alongside Charles Bronson, and produced and directed by John Sturges, although another director came in after the initial shooting to film additional scenes. And yeah, comes with another poster, but don't really want to be getting discs out and whatever. So yeah, cast and crew again, and Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses by Robert Torcurti. So this was released in 2021, I believe. Yeah, and again, this has a booklet with it. So I feel like these aren't the ones that are selling as well as maybe the hopes. But yeah, then you got Charles Bronson and Jill Ireland, Domestic Bliss. And yeah, that's an interview by the looks of it. And then About the Restoration, a Studio Canal HD remaster was the source of this release. So yeah, and again, it looks really rather good in terms of its presentation on the Blu-ray. And then finally, a box set that I've only watched one film from so far, and that is John Ford at Columbia from 1935 to 1958. And even though it is from between those years, most of the films are in the 50s. In fact, two are from 1958. So yeah, this is a box that I've been eyeing up for a while, purely because I've been meaning to get into more John Ford films. As even though I've seen several, I still feel I've not watched enough from him, given he's such a well-known director and the like. So yeah, the first of these films is The Whole Town's Talking, starring Edward G. Robinson. And yeah, each of these comes with their own booklet, unlike some more, recent box sets from Indicator, which typically come with just a booklet of their own, which outside of the films, because they're typically not in these thick cases anymore. They're in the more cardboard cutout ones, which I like, but I can see why some people would prefer the cases themselves. So in the Whole Town's Talking booklet, you get No Minor Ford, The Whole Town's Talking by Farron Smith Naheem. And then you get Jailbreaker by W.R. Burnett from 1934, from when this was being released. Then Critical Response from the time. It was released in Britain under the title Passport to Fame. And the Monthly Film Bulletin praised the film, regarding it more as a thriller than a comedy. So that's interesting, because obviously it was supposed to be a comedy of sorts. So yeah, and it's a Sony 4K remaster supervised by Michael Friend, was the source of this Indicator edition. The film's original mono audio was remastered at the same time. So yeah, this is one I'm particularly looking forward to, because I'm a big fan of Edward G. Robinson. I've seen him in so many films that I've enjoyed, and I'm hoping this will be another one of those high-ranking films from him. And then we have Tyrone Power, Maureen O'Hara in The Long Grey Line, filmed in CinemaScope. And yeah, also stars Ward Bond even, who again I've seen stuff in before. So this is the longest of the films. Whole Town's Talking is 93 minutes long, and yet this is 137 minutes long. So it's probably going to take me some time to fit this in, because I don't typically have time for 2-hour plus films anymore. But still, yeah, I'm interested in what it's going to be like, and hopefully it will be good. And yeah, there's two leads, and there's John Ford himself. So yeah, cast and crew as per usual. Then you got Life's Work by Nick Pinkerton from 2020, which is when this box set was released. Then you've got John Ford, Parisian Encounters. So I think that was from 1955. Then you got The Red, White and Blue Line, which is a short film that is included in this, cooking it 10 minutes long, from 1955. So yeah, not sure what that's about. And again, this is a Sony 4K remaster, so that should look pretty good. And then the one that I have seen from this so far is Gideon's Day, also released in the US as, what was it? Gideon of Scotland Yard, which is actually the reverse side, what you could actually choose from. The rest of the artwork looks the same, but yeah, you get the alternative US title there. And yeah, so Jack Hawkins, and this is really, really good. It's overall a solid film. It's nothing special in terms of its execution, and I'm sure it gets lost in John Ford's overall filmography. But yeah, it's really rather good. And yeah, not only do you have Jack Hawkins, but you also have Anna Massey in her first role in films in general. And yeah, she's really good in this, as she is in the other films I've seen. So yeah, you got Gideon's Day and Anomaly by Robert Murphy. Then you got Jack Hawkins on Gideon's Day from 1973. So a good 15 years after this, looking back on that film. And then again, another Sony 4K restoration from the original to the negative, supervised by Grover Crisp, was the source of this edition. So yeah, and it looks really rather good in its 4K restoration, to be honest. Looks excellent. And yeah, London looks like a time capsule from 1958, just how different it is changing the architecture and the and all the other aspects. And yeah, finally we have The Last Hurrah. So this has got Spencer Tracy in it, who's pretty much fantastic in pretty much everything that is in. And yeah, it's also got Basil Rathbone, James Gleeson, John Carradine. Again, fantastic actors. So yeah, not sure if this is a comedy or not, but it may well be. I say that because a lot of comedies from the late 50s and early 60s had, you know, big casts like this, and yeah, generally had these kind of oddball titles. So yeah, Spencer Tracy is a fantastic actor, and yeah, and then you got The Last Hurrah in this booklet, Twilight of the Great Men by Imogen Sarah Smith. And then we've got Frank S. Nugent on John Ford. And then you got Critical Response of the Time. And again, the restoration of this is a Sony 4K remaster, supervised by Rita Belder, was the source of this indicator edition. And again, the mono audio was remastered at the same time. So I imagine that's the 3 lead cast there on the booklet. And again, John Ford. So yeah, that's all of the releases I've had since the previous update. Not a massive amount of films, obviously. We've got 4 in the box set, 2 other single indicator releases, 2 in the Umbrella release, 2 4Ks, and the 7 DVDs, but that's technically just one release on its own. So yeah, but I have enjoyed all of the films I've seen so far that I own here. Still need to obviously re-watch Clear and Present Danger to see how it looks on its 4K, but it's already a film I love anyway, so I'm sure the 4K will only make it better. And yeah, The Valdez Horses is a pretty solid western, and yeah, Brotherhood of the Wolf was surprisingly good, and yeah, the Killer Bee collection, as bad as some of those films are, I personally enjoy them regardless of how bad they are. They're kind of those films that you can enjoy no matter how bad they are, just because everything else about them can be entertaining. The good and the bad just combines to make an overall entertaining picture, and yeah, on the whole they are quite short as well, so they never outstay their welcome. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully the next update will be either more substantial or a little bit more special, because some of these are obviously you know, single kind of disc releases like this, and then your 4K releases and stuff like that. But yeah, I am surprised at how many of the indicator releases that I got were, well, obviously the 2 single ones that I got were limited edition still, given how old they are, but yeah, at least they were a steal given they were a third off. So yeah, but if you've seen any of these films before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.